Hey everyone, Max here, welcome to Max Solo Music, and I have this Harley Benton Dullahan-AT in my hands, a new Harley Benton guitar for 2020, and this is the updated version with 24 frets. You might have already watched a couple of my general overview videos on Dullahans, the older Dullahans and the newer Dullahans. If you haven't, I'll give you a couple of links there. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to my Instagram yet, I'd really appreciate if you do. That's where you can find beautiful close-ups of guitars, quick shootouts and demos on many different things, as well as regular updates on what's going on here and what I'm currently working on. Alright, now back to the video. And finally, it is time to take a very close and detailed look at this guitar, which I'll be doing in this video, as always using my penalty point system, which means I'll be testing this guitar according to my checklist, and every time I see a little tiny problem or whatever, the guitar will be getting a penalty point. The less points at the end of the video, the better. And as always, let's start with checking what this guitar sounds like in the mix. At the moment, there are 3 different Dullahan models listed at the Harley Benton's website. The AT24, the one we're looking at today, the FT24, which is a flat top version, and the FT24 roasted maple neck version. Right now, there's a single color option for each of them, but I've heard that at some point there might be more. Dullahans, as well as all other Harley Benton guitars, are exclusively available from Thomann, and as of today, which is February 1st, 2021, the price of this guitar is 409 euros, which is 30 euros lower than half a year ago. As always, I'll give you all the links below, such as you can check the actual price for your region, and I would really appreciate you using those links, even if you're not interested in Harley Benton Dullahan, because every click brings a little bit of support to my channel. Thanks in advance. The guitar comes in a box, and it looks just like any other Indonesian-made Harley Benton. Harley Benton Dullahan-AT 24 TBK, and the item number at Thomann is 494651. Alright, let's open the box and take a look inside, and yes, this guitar comes with a gig bag. A matching gig bag for headless guitars to be exact. Other than that, in the box we'll find the traditional Rescue My Guitar sticker, and everything else is inside of the gig bag. In the pocket we have a plastic bag with tools, 3 Allen wrenches, and the magic bar of truss rod adjustment. Those thick and wide straps on the backside of the gig bag, together with the weight of the guitar, make it feel very lightweighted when you're wearing it, compared to a standard electric guitar. It is an inexpensive gig bag, but it will still do the job just fine. And it's a nice touch, it's good to have it considering that headless guitar bags are not very common. Inside, there's another layer of protection, which I'm about to remove, a quality inspection card, and that's all there is in the box. Alright, let's go through the specs real quick. Well, the first and foremost is, of course, that this is a headless guitar, and I believe that might be one of the reasons why you're looking into buying it. But other than that, it does have a mahogany body. Let's zoom in a little bit so that you can see the grain on the back of the guitar a little bit better. This particular body consists of 4 pieces glued together. From this perspective, you can see the central piece right here, And if we take a look at it from the back, you can see 1, 2, 3, and 4 pieces. It has a flamed maple veneer, a very thin layer of flamed maple on top of mahogany body, and it is really thin, probably less than a millimeter. A couple of cutaways on the front, here, and under the bridge, a very deep belly cut on the back, and a small piece of wood taken off the heel as well. This model is called AT for the arched top, and from this perspective you can see that it is indeed not flat, but kind of rounded. It is a bolt-on construction with one-piece maple neck, headless, and an ebony fretboard. It isn't very dark and you can see the grain, and this particular one even has a couple of bright spots. This is a standard scale of 25.5 inches. The official specs say the fretboard radius is 350 millimeters, which is 14 inches. In fact, it is smaller than that, but bigger than 12. I assume it is 13, which means the actual specs don't match the official specs, and here's the penalty point for that. Neck profile at the first fret. It looks very similar to Harley Benton Fusion 2, which makes sense, because it feels pretty much the same. It's thicker than Ibanez Wizard, and slightly thicker than Fender Modern C. Here's how it compares to all of them at the same time. And the 12th fret? Again, very similar to Harley Benton Fusion 2, no surprise here. Thicker than Ibanez Wizard. And very similar to Fender Modern C as well. Here they are all together. This guitar comes with Roswell HAF pickups, the same pickups that you will find in Harley Benton Fusion 2 guitars that I reviewed earlier, but with black pole pieces. They use only Co5 magnets and have an average, I would say, output. There also are inexpensive pickups, which means they don't add much to the price of the guitar, which makes sense because I know many of you buy Harley Bentons as mod platforms and plan to swap pickups anyway. But even with these pickups, this guitar sounds pretty good. The bridge consists of 6 individual saddles mounted on a common base plate, and this is the updated version. You might have already watched my video on Dullahan updates. If you haven't, I'll give you a link to it there. A string goes through the saddle and is locked in place with this tiny little screw. You can adjust the intonation by rotating the tuning peg. Another screw in there sets the scale, so you can untighten it, move the saddle right or left, and tighten it again. The action may be set with this brass screw that you can turn left and right and make it higher or lower. And going forward, I can tell that this might be the weakest part of this instrument. I'll be talking about this in details in the part 2 of this video, so stay tuned. And by the way, the brass screw itself is fixed inside of the saddle with another tiny hex screw right there. And if we look at the bridge from this perspective, we'll see colorful string ball ends, which means D'Addario strings. And to be more specific, these are 10 to 46. Alright, moving on to the headstock, or to what's left of it. The headstock says the guitar is made in Indonesia, and you'll also find the serial number here. This part of the neck is slightly thicker than the rest of it, and it is also more rectangular, as if there was a headstock. Okay, here's the other side, and the tip has an asymmetrical shape. And here's how it works with clip-on tuners. I have to say, not every tuner will want to stay in place. For example, this one doesn't really stay there unless you push it really further. And this one as well. Yeah. So instead of the headstock, I usually put a tuner here. It kind of works better. Now let me show you how this mechanism works. Here's a 2.5mm wrench. Alright, so you saw what just happened. So it's not just a tiny hex screw, there's also a metal plate inside. Make sure you don't lose it. And there goes the string. Usually you would just lead the string through and cut out the piece you don't need. Here's what it looks like from this perspective. This is a GrafTech Task XL nut, and here's how you can make sure it really is one. First, look at the string slot. Now move the string back and forth inside of it, and you will see it getting shinier. That's what a self-lubricating nut does. Okay, let me put this string back where it belongs. Do not over-tighten. Okay, that worked. And by the way, you won't find the truss rod adjustment anywhere here, because it's here, right next to the neck pickup, which is a good and modern solution. The controls include volume and tone knobs and a 5-way pickup switch. Yep, 5 tones with only 2 humbuckers. I'm not a big fan of strap buttons of this type. I don't think they're very reliable, but at least they have these fluffy black spacers between them and the body, which is good. This is a good solution for the output connector, because absolutely any straight or angled plug will fit in here without any problems, even if you use something really exotic like, let's say, Providence or my favorite Lex cable with maybe the smallest plugs in the world. If you haven't checked them yet, do that, because they are really worth it. This is a high gloss finish, and this color is called transparent black. The finish on the back of the guitar is darker, but you can still see some wood grain through it. The neck has a smooth satin feel. The fretboard is somewhat finished and may have a different amounts of gloss. Here's a close-up of the neck joint. Looks nice and clean. And here's the other side. As always, I looked for problems and issues with the finish, but couldn't find anything worth a penalty point. This high gloss finish is flawless. This guitar has 24 frets, and according to the specs, these are stainless steel jumbo frets. First, let's check if this really is stainless steel. For that, I have a piece of standard fret wire, which is softer than steel and shouldn't leave any scratch marks. Yep, stainless steel confirmed. And here's the size, the width, and the height. Looks like jumbo frets. Here's a close-up of what the fret job looks like, which is pretty stable considering this is stainless steel. Also, no sharp fret ends or anything. Good job! Alright, it is time to count how many tools this guitar needs for a full setup, and I shall remind you that for a good, comfortable usability, this amount should not be higher than 3, not counting the truss rod range. It doesn't need a wrench, but we have a magic bar for the truss rod adjustment. An Allen wrench is needed to lock the strings in place at the bridge, another wrench to adjust the scale, and one more wrench is required for the locking mechanism at the headstock. So altogether it's 1, 2 and 3, which is good, it's not more than 3, and all these tools are included. What about tuning stability? Well, strings are locked here and here. Remember those locking screws in the bridge? It's almost like having a Floyd Rose without an actual Floyd Rose. And this is a Graphtec nut, even though a piece of string is very small here, so it doesn't really make any difference. So unless something is happening with tuning pegs, it should be staying in tune very well. Let's check the weight. 2.7 kilos. I don't know if any other guitar would be able to beat that. Only 6 pounds. That's pretty cool. The balance is just perfect. It stays in place no matter what I do. Let's find out if the guitar is properly shielded. Yes, it is shielded, and the cover has an aluminum foil on the back. Here's a close-up. You can see 500K pots and additional routings for the controls. Yeah, it looks like proper shielding. I heard some people had ground issues with this model, with the bridge not being connected to the common ground. Well, it's not the case with this particular guitar, it seems to be in order, but anyway, I'll address this problem in the part 2 of this video. As I mentioned before, this guitar has a 5-way pickup switch, but this position is somewhat special because it turns the neck humbucker into 2 single coils connected in parallel. Here's what different pickup combinations sound like through the clean channel of Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200. let's compare Dullahan-AT to the Fusion 2 model, which is one of the Harley Benton's best sellers. These two guitars have the same pickups but different switching, which means slightly different pickup combinations. Okay, let's switch to the crunch channel for more saturated tone. And for high gain, I will use PV6505+. As always, for all sound examples, I used my favorite impulse response, which is a 1x12 speaker cab with a vintage 30 speaker inside. If you like the sound, you can, and I believe you should, grab the whole impulse pack at my website, link below. Okay, let's check a couple of other things. Nobody likes crackling pots, right? So let's check how these two are gonna perform. Yeah, the tone knob has a little bit of that. Did you also notice how it doesn't do much until the very end, where it kind of works like an on-off switch instead of, being a smooth control? That is because instead of a Type D pot, they've used something else, probably A-type. Anyway, the wrong one. So here's a penalty point for the tone pot. Does this guitar have any unexpected noise? Well, let's find out. No, there is no harp on the headstock and there are no tremolo springs on the back, so it is really dry. And if you want to learn more about better noise management, check my noise mechanics video. Okay, let's put it all together. Harley Benton Dullahan-AT 24 has received 2 penalty points. One for a fretboard radius that doesn't match the official specs, and one more for the tone pot. This guitar is so close to the perfect score, and the penalties are like, one can be fixed by updating the text of the website, and the other one is kinda random. But other than that, is this a perfect guitar? Well, I have a few more things to say about it in the part 2 of this video, so stay tuned. Hey, you've reached the end of the video, and I really appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed it. I actually want to get to know you guys, so before you go, please leave me a comment below, Just, say where you're from, what is your favorite guitar or guitar pedal, and how you came across my channel. If you want to support what I do, other than Patreon, there's another easy and free way to do that. Simply show this video to one of your guitar friends who it may be interesting to, and share it, the video, not a friend, in guitar groups and communities on social media. There's never too many views, and that would really help me a lot. And other than that, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video someday soon.